Welcome back to 30 Days of Muscle Intelligence. I am Ben Pakulski, and today I'm going to teach you my 2 best tips for delt training. So many people have a hard time building their delts, or at least they think they have a hard time building their delts. So the reality is, guys, you're just doing something wrong. You don't have a hard time building delts. You just haven't figured out how to do it yet for your body, and it's not that complicated. Here's the mistake you're making. You're watching people like me. You're watching people who have great delts on YouTube, Instagram, social media, or wherever, and thinking that's how you should do it too. And the reality is it's not the same thing. You're built differently than me. And here's the difference maker. This insertion, this point where all these delt muscles come down and meet at this one common spot, is different on everybody's body. So on me, I just have this amazing genetic ability where I can go here and my entire delt contracts. That may not be the same for you. Some people it is the same. And I notice, ironically, maybe not so ironic, that it is the same on a lot of pro bodybuilders who have great delts. They can literally do anything and their delts are gonna grow. That's not the same for you. You're not Ronnie Coleman. You're not Mr. Olympia. So don't watch those guys train and realize the reason they built so much muscle is because their body just fits into these exercises so well. So here's what we're gonna do. Teach you how to set up for your body. The first thing you wanna know is what's on top works most. If I have a weight that's trying to push me in this direction, the dumbbell is trying to push me straight down, whatever then is on top is going to be the greatest mechanical muscle that can resist. So if I'm trying to work this muscle and I'm doing this exercise, well, that's on top, that's going to get work. So if I'm trying to work this, well, I need to make sure that's on top, because realize the weight's pushing me straight down, I want to have that on top. So if I'm paying attention to the way most people do their lateral raises, it's going to look like this. Right? Most people are getting some body movement. If it's moving, it's helping. So eliminate this from moving and find what we want on top. It may require you leaning forward a little bit. It may require you externally rotating a little bit. Find what you want on top and keep it there, and don't let it move. Is it going to be hard? Of course it is. Is the weight going to be less? Only because you're weak. You're only capable of doing what you're capable of. Don't think that because you have to use light weights now that you're going to use light weights forever. There has to be a learning progress, a learning process to allow you to get better and stronger. If you keep doing the wrong things and going more and more and more, it's just gonna get worse. It's just gonna be harder for you to hit those muscles the way you want to hit them. So set up, how you set up is gonna be the most important determining factor. So if I'm doing a press and I wanna work this, see what's on top. Whatever's on top is gonna get the greatest amount of work. If I'm doing a lateral raise, see what's on top. If I'm doing a rear delt exercise and I'm doing maybe a pec fly, well, I need to see what lines up. If the resistance is in this plane, I need to see what lines up in that plane. If I'm going like this, well, what lines up in that plane? You just need to learn to observe, guys. And the next tip, so how you set up is step number 1. The next tip, what works first will work most. So most of you guys are so focused on completing repetitions rather than challenging a muscle. Here's what's gonna happen, right? You're gonna have that trap moves first because your brain says, I wanna get this weight up. Forget about getting the weight up. Think about challenging the muscle. What's gonna challenge this muscle the most? Well, the function of this muscle is to move just my humerus. It's to move this arm in this plane. So if I want to work that muscle most, just work that arm, just move that arm. Don't move this trap. The trap's going to move a little bit, but we're trying to really restrict it. So think about just allowing that motion to happen. And the reality is I physically couldn't go any higher than that. For me to go higher, my trap has to come up, or I have to externally rotate my arm. So paying attention to what does this muscle do? And how do I make it work? So this muscle only crosses this shoulder joint, so I only want that shoulder joint to work. So your best tips for delt training, how you set up and what's on top is going to determine how much and what's working, and then make sure it's working first. Have an awesome day. Let's build some huge delts. Live your greatest life in your greatest body.